record for Vanessa. So on the ships at Portsmouth, they were flogging these people, no? A fellow writes that calls himself Disgusted One. On the British Navy, no? Of course, the British are very discriminative. They are very hard on everybody who is not English. The other day I saw a film about the Indian who killed who assassinated an Indian governor, the one who ordered the massacre at Punjab. You know, the massacre when the British killed a lot of people who were sitting down and in India, no, and listening to somebody who was giving a speech. There were, I don't know, hundreds. They say that perhaps 1,800 people were there, and the British Army entered and killed all of them. This is, I mean, when in the times of Gandhi, before the independence. You never heard about that. It was.
I don't remember.
You don't remember, Malena? Well, it's a very interesting thing.
No. And my studies were not in Eastern history, so claro. I don't know almost anything.
Well, when the British in 1931, I think it was. Yes, 31 or something like that. There was a massacre at Punjab. The people were gathering to listen to the speech of a representative of the Indians who wanted independence, but it was completely peaceful. No, they were all sitting. It was a very pacific demonstration, and the British entered with a lot of soldiers, and they shot people without warning, directly. They killed enormous, no, it was horrible. And Gandhi, claro, no, it was terrible. So years later, one of the survivors went to London, and he managed to murder the governor of India, the British representative, who was back in London at that time, and he killed him directly with he shot him with a gun. So the film is very interesting, and you see the terrible thing of that massacre, no? So, but this shows, the film shows what we know. These feelings that the British have even today of their superiority over the others, no? And so here you see, but the problem with the citizen in the case of Ulysses is that Joyce is trying to show that this citizen is the same as his enemy, because he also despises the people who were not Irish. So in fact, he's the same as the British. He's the same as the people he despises. So he starts telling us about corporal punishment and about the crew of tars and officers and rear admirals drawn up in cocked hats, and the parson with his Protestant Bible to witness punishment, and a young lad brought out howling for his ma, and they tie him down on a butt end of a gun. So the description of this ill treatment, no, flogging and killing, etc., on the ships is also very cruel, but probably true, no? A rampant dozen, says the citizen, was what that old ruffian Sir John Beresford called it, but the modern God's Englishman calls it caning on the bridge. So here we have the one who in a way represents, and what a coincidence, because the man was called Beresford. I think it is the same name of the one who came to Argentina.
Invasiones
Claro.
inglesas. Yes.
The same name. And says John White, claro.
Yes, that man Beresford.
Yes, John Beresford.
Yes.
Yes, you see, here he calls him that old ruffian, Sir John Beresford. And says John Wise, "'Tis a custom more honored in the breach than in the observance." Then he was telling us the master at arms comes along with a long cane, and he draws out and he flogs again the bloody backside of the poor lad till he yells Mila murder. "That's your glorious British Navy," says the citizen, "that bosses the earth." So the attack on the British Navy, on the British in general, is very strong, no? In this part of the chapter. The fellows that never will be slaves. This is part of the British anthem. In the British anthem, the song says that they are the ones that never will be slaves. Wow. With the only hereditary chamber on the face of God's earth, and their land in the hands of a dozen game hawks and cotton ball bearers. That's the great empire they boast about of drudges and whipped serfs. So this is the description of the great empire, no? That they boast about because they are proud of the empire. "On which the sun never rises," says Joe. Again, you know the expression that the sun never rises in the empire. "And the tragedy of it is," says the citizen, "they believe it." And this is true. They believe it. The unfortunate Yahoos believe it. The word Yahoos, I sent you the meaning, is little servants, no?
Yes, it comes from the Gulliver Travels.
Exactly. Yeah.
There were servants that were the Yahoos, and the chiefs were homonyms that were the wise horses.
Claro, yes. So the Yahoos were the servants, and now he's calling the English Yahoos. They believe in Rod.
What is the meaning of Yahoo? Yahoo, in realidad, ¿no? Yahoo.
Yeah, yes, it's a little servant.
An invented category of that novel, The Gulliver Travels, because it was an imagined story, like an utopia, but didn't exist. Later on, they used this word for the mail account and all that, but for me, it's like they took the name for other purpose.
Yes, originally it was invented by Swift as to represent these little servants who served the others who were the intelligent ones, no? So a Yahoo or a Yahoo is a small servant who is not intelligent.
Oh, mira vos.
Claro.
Yes.
So they believe in Rod, the Scourger Almighty, creator of hell upon earth. This is, of course, Scourger Almighty would be the God that punishes. Yes, the God that punishes. Creator of hell upon earth. And in Jakitar, the son of a gun, who was conceived of unholy boast, born of the fighting navy, suffered under rump and dozen, was scarified, flayed and curried, yelled like bloody hell. The third day he arose again from the bed, steered into haven, sitteth on his beament till further orders, when he shall come to drudge for a living and be paid. So the description of this God, this punishing God, is the God, the son of a gun, conceived by, to punish the earth. And at the same time, he was flayed, he was punished, he shouted, And then on the third day, look at the comparison with Jesus Christ, no? But the opposite would be. In a way, this is like in the Songs of Innocence and Experience, in when you have the positive Jesus and the negative, this creator of hell on earth, no? The God that comes to punish and to make people suffer, no? But, says Bloom, isn't discipline the same everywhere? I mean, wouldn't it be the same here if you put force against force? So Bloom, always trying to contemplate different possibilities, says, well, but this is the discipline that they have to establish in the army, no? Because what he tries to say is that the Irish sailors were punished to establish discipline on the ships, no? And he says, this would happen here if we had a navy. And the one who speaks now, didn't I tell you, is this agent, no? This omniscient author that appears. He says, didn't I tell you? As true as I'm drinking this porter, if he was at his last cup, he tried to downface you that dying was living. So this agent, this voice that comes from above, sees Bloom as always trying to look for the good side of things, no? So he says, didn't I tell you? He's always like that. Even at his last gasp before dying, he would try to show you that, I mean, there is some kind of, let's say, equilibrium, no? But the citizen says, we put force against force. The citizen believes in a rebellion, like the one that the IRA is going to establish later, no? Force against force, terrorism. We have our greater island beyond the sea. And this is a reference to all the Irish who emigrated, no? And we are living somewhere else. In America, in Spain, yes, and also in the north of Africa. They were driven out of house and home in the Black 47. So they were driven out of their country with, you know, you remember the Great Famine when they didn't have food.
A question, did
Yes.
the IRA exist at that time?
Yes.
At the beginning of the 19th century?
Yes,
no?
yes. It was, but it was part of the British Empire. It was not independent.
But the IRA as a
no,
movement...
sorry. I thought you were saying Ireland. No, the IRA.
No, the IRA.
The movement.
The movement.
The movement appeared later.
Appears later.
Yes. No, not at
it
this
was
time.
The origin of the ideas of the IRA, I think so.
This is, yes, because in fact, I mean, the idea of an armed rebellion was, I mean, even before
was
the
very
IRA.
old.
Yes, older, much older. Yes.
Yes.
So,
but the organization in a movement was later.
Yes, as the IRA, as the Irish Republican Army. With that
maybe
name,
after the war, no?
After the Second World War, but at this time,
later.
at this time, they all the same, they had some groups that advocated for, you know, for using force. At this time, there were already some groups. They were not organized. Their mud cabins and their shillings by the roadside were laid low by the battering ram, and the Times wrapped its hands and told the white-livered Saxons there would soon be as few Irish in Ireland as Redskins in America. So this emigration, this great emigration of Irish people apparently was mentioned or was acclaimed by the Times because they said that with the passing of time, there would be very few Irish in Ireland. So as if this was part of a plan, no? Even the Grand Turk sent us his piastres. This is the money that because it was said, it is discussed. I was reading different sources, and it's a bit discussed that the Grand Turk, I mean the Turk in Morocco, bought Irish people, Irish servants, like slaves. It is, I mean, some sources say that this happened, and some other sources are not so clear, no? But there were Irish people who went to Morocco, and they were treated there, or they did the menial work. They worked as servants, no? Or I don't know. But the Sassenach, remember that this is the word for strangers, tried to starve the nation, at home. While the land was full of crops that the British hyenas bought and sold in Rio de Janeiro. So, well, this is partly true, no? They wanted to starve the nation, to make people die of hunger. And they said the land was full of crops that the British hyenas bought and sold in Rio de Janeiro. Well, they drove out the peasants in hordes. 20,000 of them died in the coffin ships. The coffin ships were the ships where the Irish escaped from Ireland, and so many died in the ships that they called the ships coffin ships, because many of them died, yes, during the trip. But those that came to the land of the free, no, those that came to the land of the free, those who arrived in America, remember the land of bondage, and they will come again, and with a vengeance. No cravens, the sons of Granuaile, the champions of Kathleen New Holland. I sent you the name. This woman was, I mean, apparently a kind of queen, yes, an old queen of the Celts, no, in the past. So the idea that the citizen has is that all these Irish who emigrated, especially to America, to North America, would come back to take revenge, no? Perfectly true, says Bloom, but my point was, Bloom is always trying to retort.
De meter la cuchara.
Nobody cares of him.
No, he's, I mean, we are a long time waiting for that day, citizen, says Ned, since the poor old woman told us that the French were on the sea and landed at Killala. Again, this reference to the poor old woman is to this Kathleen New Holland, no? The old Celtic queen, sorry. Hey, says John Wise, we fought for the royal stewards that renegade us against the Williamites and they betrayed us. And this goes back to the stewards. So an old quarrel between the French king, the Catholic French king, who made an alliance with the French to depose William of Orange. Yes, and the Irish, the Catholic Irish also got together with James, no, with the Stuarts, but I don't know if you read what I sent about the Battle of Boyne, but the one who yes, Teresa, sorry.
They were defeated there by William.
By William of Orange, but the interesting thing was that the king escaped. So the king that was there and he was fighting for his own position, his own kingdom, he escaped. he was a coward. He left the disaster. So we gave, remember Limerick and the broken treaty stone. The treaty that they came about was that all the Irish that took part in that battle were going to be forgiven, and they were going to be allowed to go back to their houses. But of course, the treaty wasn't fulfilled, and the Irish were killed. We gave our best blood to France and Spain, the wild geese. Interesting, because the wild geese is the name, los gansos blancos, that is the name of the Irish who fought for the French and for the Stuarts. And apparently many of these soldiers, the wild geese, escaped to other places, no, to France, to Spain, etc.
Or to Austria, you said to
Austria too, yes. Fontenoy and Sarsfield and O'Donnell, Duke of Tetuan in Spain, and Ulysses Brown of Camus, that was Field Marshal to Maria Theresa. All these people mentioned here, Sarsfield, O'Donnell, see, they were real wild geese. They were members. Some of them, for instance, this Brown of Camus, the Ulysses Brown of Camus, was the son of one of these Irish soldiers, and they became important in other parts, no?
Other countries, yes.
In other countries, yes. For instance, this Ulysses Brown of Camus was Field Marshal to Maria Theresa in Austria. The Queen gave him a prize or congratulated him. This Sarsfield also, and when I read that, we have a Vélez Sarsfield here, and probably a descendant of this Sarsfield, no? They were famous, so they became important in other countries, no? This Duke of Tetuan in Spain, etc. So these people who escaped from the Battle of the Boyne and became the wild geese, they became important in other countries, or their children, their sons became important. The French, says the citizen, set of dancing masters. Again, here he's criticizing the French because the French made them take part in that battle, and then they abandoned the Irish, no? Do you know what it is? They were never worth a roasted far to Ireland. So the French were worth nothing. Aren't they trying to make an entente cordiale now at Taipei's dinner party with perfidious Albion? Of course, the perfidious Albion is England. And this entente cordiale and the Tay party's dinner party is a mock to the way in which they get together, no, the French and the English, as if it were a dinner party, a British dinner party, and they became like friends, you know, very educated, but they were organizing things, leaving Ireland out, no? Conspuez le Français, says Lenehan, nobbling his beer. And as for the Prussians and the Hanoverians, says Joe, haven't we had enough of those sauce-getting bastards? So now they are criticizing not only the French,
but the Germans.
Also the Germans. And they call them sausage-eating bastards, no? On the throne from George the Elector down to the German lad and the flatulent old bitch that's dead. Who is the flatulent old bitch?
It's Victoria, Victoria.
La reina Victoria. La forma en que la llama es horrible. The flatulent old bitch. Jesus, I had to laugh at the way he came out with that about the old one with the winkers on her. The old one with the winkers is Queen Victoria, no? winkers because she had her, como los ojos como los párpados caídos, ¿vieron? La gente que tiene los párpados así, bueno, entonces, por eso she is the old one with the winkers on her. Blind drunk in her royal palace every night of God. Old Vic with her joram of mountain dew and her coachman carting her up body and bones to roll into bed, and she pulling him by the whiskers and singing him old bits of songs about Erin on the Rhine and come where the booze is cheaper.
You know, Ines, there's a film called Mrs. Brown.
Yes.
Did you see? Yes,
Yes.
with
representing Queen Victoria, no? And her
yes,
servant.
Judi
Yes.
Dench. Judi Dench.
Judi Dench, yes, excellent film. But
Yes, and the coachman, yes.
And the coachman.
Now there are a series at the Film and Arts, Victoria.
Ah, yes?
I saw one, but I didn't